You're tuned in to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show with your host, myself, Sajda Wendy Muhammad. I am a multi-million-dollar business developer. I have developed business and real estate around the world, and I want to share with you my mental strategies, my technical strategies, and how I made it in the world of business. So I don't teach theory. I tell you about my life and introduce you to people who can also share with you what they've done to become successful. This is a practical show. This ain't a theory show. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who in my judgment is the master historian, taught us that of all our studies, history is the most attractive, and it is best qualified to reward the researcher. History is most attractive. Why should history be most attractive? Because history is the recorded time of the human family in its struggle to overcome obstacles. There is no life that is without struggle. The Holy Quran teaches us that man, meaning man and woman, is made to face difficulties. And after difficulty comes ease. But it is history that guides us through difficulty. For if you know how people who had difficulty yesterday got through, and if your difficulty is somewhat similar, then today we also can get through if we follow the guidance of history. This is why Carter G. Woodson and many of our black giants fought for black people to know our history. Because in not knowing our history, we don't have a guide. And without a guide, we are lost. No wonder the Bible...
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, It is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize black leadership.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Peace be unto you. I'm your sister, Sister Sajda Wendy Muhammad, and I'm your host tonight on the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. This is our series on Black Muslim businesses. And let me tell you something, we got a real treat for you tonight. And when I say treat, I mean a real treat, like for real treat. So before I even bring Sister Nneka and Brother Michael onto the screen, I made this little montage of their desserts. Their company is called Paradise Desserts. And I think it's hilarious because y'all people who just love sweets, all y'all got to do is just see it. So I'm going to play this video for you. And it ain't got no words and nothing. It's like a quick 30 seconds. But I just want you to envision yourself tasting these tasty treats because you know that's what y'all want to do. And I'm going to mess y'all up right before we go on this 3-day fast so y'all can be craving those sweets. And you're going to have to stop over there and get you something so you can have it when you break your fast. So check this out. Just check this out. Check this out for a second. I'm laughing because I know y'all was tasting the chocolate and tasting all the other little pieces of it. And y'all don't need no words. You just talking to yourself about how you want it. You want it so bad. So let me bring my brother and sister on here. Assalamu alaikum. I know I'm silly.
Alaikum salam.
How are y'all doing?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Y'all so cute. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's her. Okay. She said it's you, Brother Michael, and he said it's you, Sister Nneka. Listen, I'm so excited and I'm proud of you all. I'm proud of you, your business, and just the work that you do in really creating an art, right? Out of making these sweet desserts. You call it Paradise Desserts. Tell me, Brother Michael, where'd that come from? Where'd that name come from?
That came from this beautiful young lady right here. Paradise. You know, everybody wants to experience paradise, you know, and that's how that came about. And we gave it a slogan, a taste of heaven on earth.
Yes.
A taste of heaven on earth. Okay. Look at people talking about, ooh, looks wonderful. See, they don't even have to have the word. Look at Sister Letha. She said literally.
Literally.
You can taste with your eyes.
That's right.
So who does most of the baking, and who got into this first?
Well,
Well, that's a big story.
So it started off, Sister Nneka started off baking the pie, the bean pie.
Right.
We got our hands on a very supreme uh, bean pie recipe, and Sister Nneka, uh, I said, when you gonna make that pie? So she tried it. The first time it was okay. The second time it was a little better, but the third time, I said, the hustler that I am, I said, we can smell that pie right there.
That bean pie is hard. I remember when I first
it's
became
not
a Muslim and we started learning how to bake. That bean pie is a tough one.
Oh yeah, you got to follow the instructions, and so
Yeah.
she got it after the third time, and that's how we got started. The way we started, a lot of people don't know. Some people do, but a lot of people don't know. Sister Nneka used to bake the pie for me, and I would take them out in the community, and that's how we got started.
Yeah, our beloved sister, when we were living in North Carolina, when we first got married, there was a sister in the mosque in Greensboro, Sister Angela.
Angel.
And at the time, Sister Angela was in medical school. And she used to bake the pies from time to time. And she had some of the best bean pie we'd ever tasted. But we were trying to get one from her like every day. So finally, she was like, look, y'all, I'm in medical school. So I'm going to have to give you the recipe because I'm not able to keep up. And the rest is history. She gave us the recipe. I flubbed up the first few times, but then she took me and she was like, are you doing this? Are you doing that? And she kind of walked me through the steps. But the recipe really was not perfected until Brother Michael got his hands on it. Baking is in his DNA. So once the recipe was turned over to him, he made some tweaks and a new pie was born that was just the best I've ever tasted in my life.
So was Brother Michael already a baker? Like because it's one thing to bake, but then the way y'all put together them cakes and stuff, this is like professional grade, next level stuff.
Like Sister said, it's in my DNA. My grandmother, she was a serious baker. Okay. And we were actually in her house. The house was vacant. We actually lived in that house. And so her energy and her spirit, you know what I mean, was in the house. I never really was a baker, but it's something called survival that made me
maybe.
yeah. So, and like I say, it's in my blood. I do believe that. And so once Sister Nneka taught me how to make it in terms of the instructions, following the instructions. And then of course, because I'm baking bulk, I had to tweak it over time. It really took me about 6 years to get it to where it is. And so, yeah.
So the business you all have now, it's on 79th Street. Tell us about that, because I know you just had your grand opening.
Yes.
Well, we met a family called the Brewers. Mr. Brewer, Mr. and Mrs. Brewer. We saw the place. Well, Brother Michael introduced us to another Brother Michael introduced us to them. And so, of course, we're looking for our next move. We're looking for our expansion. So we sat with them for some months. They have a nice place. And so we said, we want to join forces so we can begin our process. And so we sat for a few months and kind of finally worked it out and say, okay, this is how we're going to do this.
We decide we have a wonderful partnership, and we knew right away that there was something special to this because one, Mr. Brewer's name is Elijah and his birthday just so happened to be October the 16th. So we were like, okay, there's a sign.
But part of the science of business, and I call anything that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad demonstrated to us in terms of business, even just watching how the minister moves and the rebuilding and the things that he's done. This is all part of the science of business. And one of the things that he tells us to do is pool our resources.
Right.
mentally, spiritually,
Right.
our talent. And so
Right.
it sounds like that's what you did with Mr. Brother Elijah Brewer and his
Yes.
family.
And it's we forged a beautiful in the community where it's a beautiful union of Christians and Muslims. So we're also an example of Christian Muslim unity coming together to be a beacon of light in the community.
You're walking right in the footsteps of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And one of the things that I found that has really helped me to be successful in business is knowing how to bring people together from different groups and
Yes.
different walks of life and making friends and uniting around our business endeavors, because we all know that as the minister teaches us, business is the activity of life.
Right.
And
Yes.
so it's not some separate thing that we can't access or some far away, far reaching thing that we would never be a part of. It is literally the activity of life.
That's right.
And it's a beautiful thing what you all have done. And I'm sure that you've seen how it's forged so many beautiful relationships even already.
Absolutely. And that's the key, relationships, like, and even coming into the ranks and having final calls put in my hand to the point where I have to go out here and I have to make a human connection. You know, and that's the power
Yes.
of the teachings, where we come into a process where you have to make human connections,
Mhm.
you know, and so that's the beauty of it. It's, you know, the growth and development in that it's impeccable.
It is.
You know, sometimes we get so busy that we forget that, right? We forget that we are really in the resurrection business.
That's right.
Right. And I think sometimes we forget that because we get so busy and doing what it is that we want to do. We don't introduce anybody anymore. We're not an example. We just kind of tunnel vision. But
Right.
the real success is in building relationships and connecting with people and really being an example.
Yes.
That's right.
And one of the things I wanted to share on that note from Message to the Black Man that really touched my soul, in the words of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which makes business for us so much more than just making money. Like you need to make money now.
Mm-hmm.
That's important. But it's a part of that mission of the resurrection of the dead. And in Message to the Black Man on page 174, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, acknowledge and recognize that you are a member of the Creator's nation and act accordingly. And the power in that for me is like, if you're in the Creator's nation, then that means you are born yourself to create. You're given the power to create. And the Creator, he defied impossibility when he created himself. So that already puts you in the mindset when you go into business that anything that you set out to do, the way has already been made for you. And there is nothing that is impossible that you set out to do in righteousness. But then he goes on to say, this action in the name of Allah requires you as a Muslim to set an example for the lost found, your brothers in the wilderness of North America. This requires actions and deeds, not words and lip service. Wow. And then he says, the following blueprint shows the way. Number 1, recognize the necessity for unity, that human connection that you're talking about, that my husband was talking about. Recognize the necessity for unity and group operation activities. Number 2, like you said, pool your resources physically as well as financially. Number 3, stop wanton criticisms of everything that is Black owned and Black operated. Number 4, keep in mind, jealousy destroys from within. Number 5, observe the operations of the white man. He is successful. He makes no excuses for his failures. He works hard in a collective manner. You do the same. So that makes it so much more than just about the dollar bill, y'all, and cash ruling everything around us.
To add to that, sis, as you were talking, and when you said the phrase "resurrection of the dead," and I was kind of in that vein when we were talking about being in the resurrection business, following those principles and building those relationships, you're actually expanding on the resurrection of yourself.
That's right.
So that transformation process that begins to perfect you and I begins then to expand what we will attract, where we find ourselves, the people we end up being around. So it's not just, I tell people all the time, I said, listen, I'm telling you all, these teachings work. I've been around the world and back, and it works. Just keeping to those principles, and you'll find yourself in this circle that you didn't expect, or at that table that you didn't know nothing about, or being introduced to that person that you never seen before in your life. You will just find that the world begins to open up to you.
That's right.
When you just follow that basic model.
That basic model.
Stay in the process.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just the basic, staying basically in that process. Speaking of which, we were having this beautiful conversation before we went on air that I just wanted to share, because we have something in common. And it started with me saying to you all that you all look alike. And we started talking about, right, like tracing DNA and how powerful it is that that we are the answer to the prayers of our ancestors. And here we are today, many of us doing things that are literally in our DNA. And I mentioned I'm reading this book. It's called this is my second time reading it, The History of Black Business in America. And Dr. Juliet Walker talks about how during Reconstruction, after the slaves were off the plantation, if you will, many of them went back to the very same professions that their people were engaged in several centuries before being kidnapped and brought here to America. And then I mentioned that when I traced my DNA and did the genetic study when I went to Africa, what I learned was my people were Muslims and they were business people. They were the ones who ran the trade. And I said, this makes sense why this kind of thing comes so easy for me. And so I want you to tell your story of your divine connection that we talked about before we came on air, because I just is beautiful.
So we found out
looking alike. Start with y'all looking alike.
Right. So we look alike. And I jokingly say to people, it's because we're the same, we're from the same tribe, Mandingo, because people say that a lot, that we look alike. But in truth, both of us on our paternal side can trace our genes back, our history back to the same village in Jufre in the Gambia. And my husband is actually a descendant of Kunta Kinte. In fact, when Alex Haley wrote his book, he traveled to the area where my husband's family is from in North Carolina, and he interviewed some of the elders to get the knowledge that helped him to form much of the foundation for that book. And they were, in fact, business people as well. My husband's grandfather owned a whole section of what years ago was called Leetown in Yanceyville, North Carolina. He owned several homes. He owned several businesses and whatnot. In fact, he had endeavored to buy a home he had a home for all of his children, a home for all of his grandchildren. And that is in his blood. You know, that's in my husband's blood, as well as the baking from his maternal side. But then my family were the ones in that same village that they were the spiritual people that did the call to prayer. So, and we were also, our family was in fact Muslim. So it's a blessing that when my husband and I came together, unbeknownst to us, we were answering the prayers of our ancestors that we had been taken from when they were praying and looking for that good ship Jesus to bring them back to the village of Gambia, bring them back to their people, their land, their nation, and their God. When we were born and came together in Islam, were the answer to the prayer. Praise be to Allah.
Isn't that beautiful? It's just so beautiful. I'm thinking of, do you guys know that one of my very favorite artists, her name is Sona Jabarte, and she's from Gambia, and she has a song called Gambia. You should look that up. It's very, very, very beautiful. But now I love that, because I think sometimes we're out here flailing around on our own. Sometimes we feel disconnected. We feel, unappreciated or lonely. But when you really think about that, you're really just walking through the volume of the book as you're following the men who are walking through the volume of the book. But you and I are somebody too.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
Almost Lord Farrakhan said, out of our longing and desire for change, we pray, and people are born into the world as an answer to our prayers. And so in reflection of that, and Jeremiah 1:5, before I fashioned you in your mother's womb, I knew you. So we're all answering the prayers of those who came before us if we're reflecting on it in that manner.
Come on.
And so the question becomes, whose prayers, Brother Michael, are you the answer to? You know what I mean? And that's how we move on a daily, consistent basis,
And that reminds me of sister student minister, Dr. Nneka Muhammad.
May Allah be
pleased. Yes, may Allah be pleased with her. She used to say, you exist because the fact that you exist means that you are on Allah's mind. So you're not here by accident. Your steps are ordered. You are all a part of his plan.
The fact that, somebody type this in the chat for me, the fact that you exist means that you are on Allah's mind.
Yes.
Come on now.
Just let that sit with you.
Let that sit.
Yeah.
Let that just sit with you. You might be going through all kind of stuff, but you're still here.
You're still here.
Still on his mind.
Come on now.
So what does that say about us that are on his mind?
Come on.
And how he's ordering our steps.
Come on.
Business. See, I gave up trying to follow this corporate rule where you keep your spirituality separate from this.
Right.
I couldn't do it.
Can't do it.
I tried, and I'm not going to lie and say I didn't try. I tried to follow those rules as a corporate person. But I really did not start to be what I call successful until I stopped trying that.
Come on.
Because I realized I was walking into my God-given right.
Yes.
Right? Just like you all are walking in your God-given right. You're talking about people in your family who were in business, people in your family who were Muslims, people in your family who were baking cakes. And a lot of this we didn't even know. I had no idea that on both sides of my DNA that they were Muslims. And I had no idea that they were business people who ran the trading post.
Look at that.
And I've always been fascinated with world history and trading posts. It's just always been my thing. The Silk Road, and I love watching those medieval movies where they got to go to the trading post. And I always said to myself, why do I like this? Now I know.
That's right.
And then I shared with you too, just as a fun fact. So like I said, my husband,
I ain't say it, Brother Michael. I already know.
But it's just some fun fact. I mean, how these things carry over But Kunta Kinte, he ran. He had a gift with running. And one of his feet were severed. Well, my husband, his family, if any of those men in that line, they all can run. They're athletic, built very much the same, and they all have issues with their feet that eventually require some kind of surgery, so their foot ends up getting cut.
I ain't saying nothing, Brother Michael.
I ain't say nothing either.
I ain't got nothing to say. Let me move on.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Let me say this. Here's another fun fact. So I like to walk and I like to travel. I could be very nomadic, but I realized I learned I come from nomadic people. So I'm Fulani on both sides, and so they're nomadic. And so one of my friends in Africa, he said to me, we were talking about citizenship, and he said, he knows me as Wendy. He said, Wendy, you can have citizenship wherever you want. Y'all move around. He said, he rejected them saying to me, you're from this village in Guinea or this village in Nigeria. It was two different. And he said, because the Fulanis walked.
Come on.
They moved. And I was like, wow, I didn't think about that. He said, so you're going to be able to trace your DNA from Ethiopia all the way down to Guinea and so on and so forth, even across the Bering Straits.
Come on. Yeah.
So what that taught me was it's okay to be yourself.
That's right.
Come on now.
So you might not like your feet, Brother Michael, but somebody on Drake got the same feet as you. That's what Sister Nneka is that for us as sisters, right? We walking around, we don't like how our body looks. But we don't know. We might have the same body as the Queen of Sheba.
That's right.
That's right.
We may not like our hands or our nose, but we may have the same nose as Queen Amina.
That's right.
I lost my feet.
Well, you be putting your foot in them cakes, though. I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
I want to know how the community is responding to you all being there on 79th Street. Because let me tell you, one of the things I love, this probably comes from my Fulani background, is having that space and being able to connect with the community.
Yes.
Yes, and that's the joy of it all. Like I was saying earlier too, the final call has really shown me how to make human connections. I love it. I enjoy it, and so that's the energy that we bring. So the energy transfers.
Yes.
And that's basically what's taking place. It's an acceptance.
You all have such a beautiful spirit, and I'm really big on eating food that has the right spirit in it.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't go to restaurants where it's just wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Don't wham bam, thank you, ma'am. My food.
Exactly.
I like spirit to be in my food, and then I like to have it in a beautiful environment. And so I can only imagine the spirit that goes into your paradise desserts. So I want to know, besides the bean pie, what's the crowd favorite?
The cake, the triple chocolate cake.
That's tell her what it is.
So it's a chocolate cake with a chocolate fudge frosting, and it has a chocolate ganache drip.
Drip. Did you say drip?
Drip.
Drip. Look, she taught me how to say certain things. Like I was making a vanilla buttercream cake with caramel in the middle.
Right.
Caramel. I'm from East Coast, so we say caramel. People over here say caramel. So, but caramel, whatever, whichever one. But I was saying with caramel in the middle. She said, "No, that's a vanilla buttercream cake with a caramel ribbon."
Yes.
I said, "Oh, okay. That's what we're gonna call it."
Then. And that's another favorite as well. People love
chocolate
that.
Drip.
Yeah, the chocolate drip. Yeah.
Okay. And what other kind? You got the caramel cake. What other kind of cakes you got? Lemon, coconut.
Yes, we have a lemon. We have a strawberry buttercream, and you can get it with a strawberry filling if you like.
Or graham cracker base.
Yes. So it's almost like you get the best of both worlds. So you get kind of like a little strawberry shortcake crunch with the moistness of the strawberry cake.
Oh, and
so delicious.
Now, also the chocolate explosion cookie.
Oh, yes. That's another favorite. So that's a chocolate fudge cookie with 3 different types of chocolate chips. You have white chocolate chips, you have semi-sweet chocolate chips, and you have milk chocolate chips. And might I add, we, as you said, with the spirit in the food. So our main ingredient is love.
Yes.
And out of that love, we work to ensure that there's the finest ingredients in our desserts. So our desserts do not have any artificial color. Even when you see the cakes that are elaborately decorated with the different colors, we do not use any artificial colors. We do not use any artificial flavors. So it's non-GMO. We do not use any genetically modified ingredients. So only the good stuff.
Yeah, only the kosher, halal.
Yes.
Clean ingredients.
Clean ingredients all the way. And then that comes through in the flavors as well.
Now, do y'all do weddings, birthday parties? Yes. How's that work?
Yes. So you would just need to place a custom. So we do custom cakes for birthdays, weddings, baby showers, you name it.
Yeah, that
bridal showers.
One of those cakes in that display was our biggest cake. It was a 5-tier.
The purple one.
Right.
Yes.
And we did that for Brother Wakil and
Sister Bahia.
Their wedding. So that was 12.
That was the biggest one we've done.
12-inch, 10-inch, 8-inch, 6-inch, and 4-inch. Right?
Yes.
4 layers on each. And so that was the biggest challenge.
And the top layer is covered in gold leaf.
So I make the cakes.
I saw that cake.
Yeah, Sister Nneka, she recently got into decorating the cakes. We took a class and she learned how to do that. And that's her passion.
Yes.
So she taught me to sign, because I'm more of a natural baker. So I'll just throw the stuff together and make it happen or what have you. But Sister Nneka looks into the science of it and why this and why that.
Baking is a science.
So
yes, it really is.
Yeah. So
you can't just throw. I'm just throw it. With cooking, you can go in there and say, I'm gonna throw some of this and throw some of that. No, you do that in baking, and you're gonna have to throw whatever you made out.
So now that Sister taught me the science of the cakes, I make the cakes and then she put all that beautiful stuff on it.
You all seem like you work together so beautifully, and it's such a dream. What is it like to be working together as a couple?
I love it. So I've been baking for 25 years now. And of course, Sister taught me how to make the pie and everything. But it's kind of like it's kind of been like just me.
Yes. I didn't like baking at first.
Okay.
And so recently, but I've been waiting. I knew it was going to happen. I knew this day was
going to come over to the other side.
I already knew.
Did you like baking in MGT class? Well, baking has never been my thing. I'm a great cook.
Yes, that's me.
But that was just one of the things where I was like, I could do it to be okay for Sister Captain to be like, all right, that's good, but now I flunked sewing. I did flunk sewing. I figure I'm just going to buy my stuff.
I did it first. Now I love it. So it seems like in my journey in Islam, which this year will be 29 years. 29 years in Islam, we just celebrated our 25th anniversary, but it seems like everything at a certain point, everything that I've run from I end up running 2.
Don't say it, Sister Nneka. I'm not trying to sew.
And I'm going to tell you, I honestly, as a younger MGT, I ran from sewing for 12 years.
Look.
But when I tell you, it's my passion now, and it's one of my most wonderful, it's one of my favorite pastimes.
I figure I probably could do it, but I think the first couple of times, because back then Sister Catherine would make you take it apart. So I came with this wrap skirt that I made. That she's like, no, take that apart.
Yeah,
No,
mistakes, and that's what you learn. Like how we're taught in our lessons, mistakes shall not exist. So when you sewing, that's a practice in that. No, take that out and do it again.
Okay, I had to take the whole skirt apart.
Yes.
And start over. And I was there sewing. I'm like, why are we doing this again?
Oh, but it teaches you such wonderful patience.
That's how she was to me. Look, I remember the first sewing machine. Can I get this sewing machine? Yeah, you get that sewing machine. That sewing machine sat.
Yeah, it did. It collected dust for a long time. But guess what? It gets a lot of work now. I still have that same sewing machine. Yeah. It was a good sewing machine. Yeah. It gets a lot of work. And I thank Allah because that process of submitting, when I finally focused my mind to submit to that process, a whole new world opened up to me. And I learned a level of patience that I didn't know before. I learned a level of tenacity that I didn't have before, because I don't care how good of a seamstress you always are going to have to take something out.
You're going to have to start over and
you're going to have to start over. And the key is focusing on the goal to get it done. If you're willing to go ahead and take it out and do it over again and keep at it, that's how you attain to perfection. And when, it took how many cycles of trillions of years for the creator to produce himself in the dark womb of space.
Right.
He was sewing.
Put the science on the sewing. Lord. Let me tell you, shout out to my former captain, Virginia. And I remember her saying to me, because even once I got to Chicago, I still wasn't sewing, but I remember her, she said to me, this was recently, she said, they get a little older, they don't have a filter no more. She said, Sister Wendy, you was always good with the sisters. Because I always taught orientation. She said, you was always good with the sisters. She said, your bean soup is real good. And you can cook real good. She said, but you can't sew. I said, remind me, like, you ain't forgot about that all them years later. And so I decided, I used to always make a joke in class, and I say, I'm just going to buy my clothes from the sisters who can sew.
Come on, man.
Help them set up their businesses.
Unity.
And then we're going to do cooperative economics and pool our resources here.
That's right.
But anyway, back to you all. I'm silly. Back to you all as a couple. I admire your working together, and I can really see the unity and the love. And I can only imagine how successful this business will continue to become if you all continue with this formula.
Yes. Well, I love being a helpmeet to my best friend. So, and as his helpmeet, as his wife, it's a blessing to have, how the scripture says, he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing, right? But the thing about a woman who loves her man, she's going to be there to look out for his best interest.
Right.
She's going to be that one that you can trust. And as you're navigating through the warfare of business, she's going to be that one that's going to be your peace and your calm. But she's also going to have your back in the fight.
What's interesting?
Your peace and your calm, but she also going to be your weapon.
I'm hearing you say that, Sister Nneka, and there's so many people out here who buy into this man versus woman.
Oh my God.
Crap. And it's always who's making more money and who got this and who got that. I tell people all the time, listen to me. We are at war.
That's right.
One day you're up, the other day he's down, but let's stop doing that. Let's come together on principle.
That's right.
Now, granted, we can't neither one of us can be bums. We got to bring something to the table,
Right.
but we have to understand that we are at war. And I see you all as a perfect example of battling that war, the war against the Black woman, the
Yes.
war against the Black man, and
Yes.
coming together and introducing that something into our community that can help combat that war.
And I'm so on board with you, sister, because Satan has weaponized the role of the male and female and pit us
Against each other.
And unfortunately, so many of us are falling for this terrible trick when it is marriage that's the cornerstone.
Mhm.
Family is the cornerstone. And so it is very unfortunate that we've gotten away from those principles that uphold the family. And that's why I'm such a proponent when I see, because I see from time to time in social media, I see that males and females fighting against each other. And I'm like, oh, Allah, we have such a wonderful, wonderful teaching in the MGT classes and the FOY classes. What the most honorable Elijah Muhammad is giving us in those teachings as taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the role of the male and the role of the female. If we would just take that, our communities would come to life overnight.
Mhm.
If we really understood who we are as women and the power of our femininity, and that a nation can rise no higher than us, we would rise overnight. And then if we understood that without the man, it's not going to rise at all, we would be on top overnight. So yeah, it's a fight in Satan's world, but it's a fight that we have to win.
We have to be intentional about winning it.
Yes.
We have to be intentional about family. Family has to stick together.
That's right.
We can't let this devil come in between. See, once he breaks us apart from our family members and we start stabbing each other in the back and hurting each other and doing all these devilish type of things to one another, sometimes we're lucky enough to be able to go out in the community and build our own family if sometimes our own personal family ain't what we want it to be.
Right.
But the real thing is on the front end,
That's right.
let's be family. Let's be in relationships.
Yes.
Black women, I always say to sisters, because I talk to a lot of Black business women. And what I say to them is I say 68% of my followers are Black men.
Mm.
Why is that? Because I'm okay in my femininity.
Come on.
And I don't hate Black men. I don't have to say it.
Come on.
They just know it.
Come on.
And so we have to come together, open businesses with one another, build, because at the end of the day, if we're at war and if the white man says, well, we'll let Sister Nneka make $200,000 a year, but we're not going to let Brother Michael make $200,000 a year. We cannot weaponize what he chooses to reward us or not reward us with.
That's right.
So we start criminalizing people who don't have the money. So the brother who don't make what we make, when in actuality, in a fair world, he may make more.
That's right.
We're not talking about brothers who just bums and living on the couch and don't want to do it. We're talking about Black men.
That's right.
If we were not at war, would probably be making millions of dollars.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
Easy.
But we criminalize them because they don't have any money. And then their egos get all caught up and then they mad. They don't like us because we making a funky little $200,000. And then we think we all that. I mean, it's like, come on, y'all. Let's come together as a team.
Come together. And that's why I refuse. It's certain things that as a Black woman, as a Muslim girl in training, there's just certain things that I subscribe to. I'm not going to subscribe to anything that is going to degrade my Black man.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to subscribe to anything that's going to degrade me as a woman.
Mhm.
Period. So
Mhm.
there is no crossing that line with me. It's not happening. It's
Yeah.
just not happening. And that's how the stance that we all have to take. And if we are unified in that stand, there's no penetrating that. We serve a mighty, powerful, and invincible God that came 9,000 miles to save us. And he did not do that for us not to be successful.
You all are a beautiful example to our community, a beautiful example to our children and our youth. And I just thank you for being that beautiful example and for your wonderful spirit.
Thank
And
you.
I pray that your business is more successful than you ever imagined that it would be.
Praise
And if there's any way that I can help and be of service, please let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for
Thank
your
you.
blessing
Thank you.
and support. And may Allah also bless you just for having us on your show and giving us this exposure, that charity, that love. May Allah return that to you, and may he reward you so richly that your cups overflow. And then you have to go get some buckets,
Teach Mom.
and you have to get some barrels,
I'll
and then
take-
you have to get some big old tankers, and then those overflow too.
And then we keep some of them tankers with all the blessings at y'all house and in front of your, we just gonna do it like this, right? We
Let
just
it-
gonna do it like this, right, Brother Michael? We just gonna do it like this.
Yes, yes.
Thank you all. Listen, may Allah bless you. Inshallah, I will see you all on Saturday.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu
Alaikum salam. What a wonderful show. I pray you all enjoyed it, and make sure you go to Paradise Desserts Cafe 55 at gmail.com. Order your cakes from them. Call them up, send them an email, and follow them on Instagram, Facebook, Paradise Desserts, and order your cake. Next time you need a cake, this is where you need to go, right here in Chicago. I know Brother Tori's going to get over there with Black Chicago Eats and cover them, but let's support our brother and sister. They're a beautiful example of what we're all striving for, which is that unity with one another. So thank you all. Thank you for watching today. Don't forget, if you like this content, make sure you like and subscribe to the page and hit the notification button, which is the thumbs up button, so that you check out the rest of our shows. We are right now in the middle of a series on the proper handling of people. I've tweaked it for us as conscious entrepreneurs. It's based on what was given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so we're covering that. This week is episode 4. So that is Saturday. Happy fasting for those of you who are getting ready to go on a fast. Some of us are getting ready to eat our last meal until Sunday, but it'll go quick. All right. And don't forget, during this blessed Holy Week, the birth anniversary of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, please support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House Museum. If you have not gotten your commemorative coin, go to sajdahouse.com. If you want to be a sponsor, just email me, sajdahouse@gmail.com. You can make a donation, credit card or cash. If you like using your card, I'm gonna make it easy for you to donate and participate. Just go to sajdaHouseDonations.com. And if you say, no, I like Cash App, that's cool too. $ Sajda Enterprises. Okay. But support. It's time for us to own and monetize our history. This home is where our nation was built. And if we love our nation, we should love the preservation of this home. From 1952 to 1972, this home served as our national headquarters. There is more history in this home than what we could even exhaust in one lifetime. So I'm sorry I didn't acknowledge y'all in the chat. Hey, Mom, she says, beautiful. Thanks for sharing. That brings tears to my eyes. Oh, that's so sweet. What else we got? Brother Victor, Brother Victor said, yeah, she teaching the science of sewing. Yeah, sister gave me the science of sewing. I said, let me get off that subject before I end up sewing again, because y'all know me. Next thing you know, I'll be a clothing designer. 704 Joe tuned in from Dallas. Thank you so much. Jesus Hakeem, he's laughing at us. He says, so true. Sister Aletha, I know she looking at them sweets and stuff, those cakes and that triple chocolate. We got I plant and I sow, another seamstress. The fact that you exist means that you are on Allah's mind. That's from our beloved Sister Nneka Muhammad. May Allah be pleased with her. Okay, I see y'all up in the chat, Miss Iwana. I see you there. So thank you all. Thank you for joining. I see we had a lot of you all, and inshallah, we will see you Saturday for the Sajda Saturday Morning Coffee Talk series on the proper handling of people for conscious entrepreneurs. Don't go anywhere until the show goes all the way off. I got another commercial for you all. Peace and blessings.
Greetings, conscious entrepreneurs. Add the Mind of an Entrepreneur show to your Roku TV lineup and catch up on past episodes of all your favorite Mo Today shows.